On this episode, we're going to do some pork butts. Everybody loves pork butt. Pulled pork, sliced pork. Most commonly, your pork butt is pulled, eaten on a sandwich, just eaten on the plate. It can be mixed in with certain things. I even put it in eggs for breakfast. There's a lot of things you can do with a pork butt. These are two really nice sized pork butts. These are about 9 pounds a piece. These are boneless. I more often than not cook with bone in, primarily because I think the bone adds flavor. But when I saw these in the butcher's shelf, I couldn't resist them because they were such great looking pork butts. All right, as you can see, these are already been butterflied, which I do anyway, but the butcher did this for me, probably because he wanted to remove the bone. But there's still some fat on here that I'd like to take care of. A little too much fat. So we're going to do some trimming on this. As you can see, again, like the brisket we did in our last segment, there's good fat and there's bad fat. Or there's properly placed fat and non-properly placed fat. So right here we got a little vein of fat here that I'd kind of like to see gone. As you can see, a pork butt has got grains of fat throughout the meat. So unlike the brisket, you don't need so much fat on the outside because there's a lot of fat within the muscle itself. Now this is the fat side, so we'll cook it fat side up. Now the one thing I really don't like about this is it's got these little, flaps that the butcher left on there. You know what, we're going to fold those inside of the butterfly. Okay, again, try to tuck this up in there. Flip it over, see if we got anything nasty on this side. Like almost everything else you've seen me cook in the last 2 or 3 episodes, we're going to inject. With pork, I use, very simply, chicken stock. I know it sounds weird. A little chicken stock, I put a little pepper in it. You got to be careful when you're injecting of putting too many spices, because if the spice is too big, it won't go through the syringe. So use finely ground spices if you're going to put them in your injection. So again, I heated this up a little bit. Like the brisket, you want to make sure you kind of put your hand over it. All right, now we're ready for some rub. We've got a couple of nice flaps here that we can throw on there for the cooks to try later. All right, now that we're done injecting, we're going to put the rub on. This is my pork rub. Again, if you've missed previous episodes, which you can go back and watch on our Facebook page, we'll be packaging and putting them on the website for sale soon, and hopefully a local grocer near you. Again, you cannot put too much rub. Well, you can put too much rub on, but don't put not enough. And that's kind of the fault most people do. They don't get enough seasoning on their meats. Okay, we're ready to put this on the grill. Another nice thing about a rotisserie cooker is the juices from the meats drip on each other, which really, again, adds to flavor. See how much that temperature dropped? Now it'll come right back up, but it was at 275, so just having those doors open dropped the temperature that much. There's his pork butts. I recommend the digital meat thermometers. You know, you can get the dial meat thermometers. They work great, they're accurate. But I like the digital because they're quicker. You get a quicker temp, a quicker reading. Again, shortening the time that your doors are open. All right, so we're gonna temp these. Again, just like the brisket, 165. These are actually about 170, so. Oh man. That's for the cook. All right. Oh. All right, let's take them over the table and wrap them. Now, I've been talking about the wrapping temperatures. The ideal temperature, and what we're going to get these up to while they're in the foil, is we're going to get them up to about 195. And the reason I say 195, ideally we want them around 200 to 205. That goes for the brisket and the butt. But if I pull them at 195 and let them sit, they're going to continue cooking inside the foil. Okay, so that extra 10 degrees will come up, especially if you put them in a cooler. Like, let's say you're cooking today for a party tonight. Put those in a cooler and they'll stay warm. A cooler without ice, by the way, if you want to keep them warm. Obviously, if you want to cool them down, throw a bag of ice in there. Look at that bark. That's going to be nice when we go to pull that. They call that bark. And that's a good part. That's what's holding all the spices. Of course, some of that's fat too, which we'll pull off. You've watched us prep the pork butts. You watch us cook them, temp them, and wrap them. Pork butt is one of the easier meats to cook, to be quite honest with you. Just use your internal meat thermometer at 165 to 170, wrap it, and at about 195, pull it and leave it wrapped, and it'll keep cooking. Let it cool down. Once it's cooled down, just put it in a big tin and start pulling the meat with your fingers. That's why you gotta let it cool down. Put some gloves on and pull it in little strips like that, and leave the bark, pull the fat off, as much fat off as you can, and then leave as much bark on as you can. The bark is the little dark end of some of the meats, and it's wonderful. So pull your meat or your pork and enjoy it. You're really gonna like nothing better than a little butt, right? So here's to our pork butt.